Hi there, in this video we're going to take simple drawings and repeat them over and over again to make these cool patterns. Alright, let's go and do it now in Adobe Illustrator. Alright, to make our pattern we need to draw something. We're just going to draw something simple, another ice cream like you saw. Okay, so rectangle, another rectangle. Ours is going to be a little bit simpler this time. I'm going to select both of them with the black arrow and I'm going to make sure they're aligned. Okay, I'm going to grab my white arrow, select the top two, make them quite bendy. Select this one, hold shift, select that one, and make these just a little bendy. Okay, and I would like to make this shorter. It's a bit too thick. And the other thing I'd like to do is add the bite marks. So we're going to use some of the tools we learned in previous tutorials. So I'm going to draw a circle. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. Does that look like a bite mark? Kind of does. So I'm going to have 1, 2, and then 3. Select them all. Okay, then grab my shape builder. Love the shape builder. I'm just going to minus through all of this stuff. Goodbye. Awesome. Kind of looks like a bite mark. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is get a size of the stroke that I like. Yeah, it's good. Pick a color that I'm going to use. All right, any color, Dan. All right, so I've got this. I'm going to rotate mine around, and we're going to show you a couple little features as we go along, not just the pattern tool. So say I want to reflect this, because it happens a lot when you're building patterns, right? You want to kind of step and repeat. So I've got this guy. I'm going to group it. Okay, I'm using object group. I'm actually using the shortcuts now. We're that far through the course now, so we're starting to use shortcuts. So I've grouped them, and what I'd like to do is reflect it. So I've got 2 of them. So I'm going to go to Object, Transform. There's one here called Reflect. And make sure preview's turned on, and I'm going to reflect horizontally, or sorry, vertically. Click O, actually not clicking OK, because that'll just flip it. I want to click copy. Okay, so I've got a copy of it as well. So I want 2 of them. Awesome, so now I need to turn it into a pattern. So I'm going to select both of them, and actually before we do this, there's a, it's really good to go through and get a kind of a rough size. So this is like a US letter size. Now this pattern is just too big, so it's harder to do it afterwards is what I'm saying. It's easy to get it to kind of a rough sort of size here before you go in. If yours is not resizing nicely, click off in the background and make sure, because with this off, it does some weird stuff, right? It keeps the stroke, gets kind of a bit too chunky. So you might have to click off in the background, scale, stroke, and effects. Okay, so with it selected, coming down to a more appropriate size. It's going to work for me. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and we're going to open up the magic tool. It's got a really lame name. Window, and it's called Pattern Options. It should be called Super Duper Pattern Options or something, because it does some cool things. Now, by default, it doesn't seem to do much, but we're going to click on this option here and say Make Pattern. And it's telling you that it's made a swatch in the swatches panel. It's opened it up. Don't worry, we'll look at that in a second. Just click OK. And yeah, it's gone through and we're starting to repeat already. Instantly, it looks awesome. Copies, it'll copy forever. This is just like a preview. I want to see 9 by 9, just kind of covers the screen. And I don't like it when it dims it for some reason. I like it just looking all the same. Now what you're going to do, give it a name. This is going to be my ice block pattern. Okay, and you can decide here by playing with these options how it kind of steps and repeats them. So let's have a look. They're just slight differences. Grid, brick by row. Okay, it's kind of cool. I feel like there's a wallpaper in there somewhere. Brick by column. Hex by column. There's all sorts of different ways. Now the cool thing about it is that I'm kind of liking that. Is that these 2 guys are still draggable. Watch this. I can kind of move them around to offset them a little bit. Try and get some sort of thing. You can copy and paste and have another one. Okay, you might decide you've got a 3rd one that kind of wraps around this way. It's up to you how you want to do it. Okay. Yeah, kind of liking it. All right, so I've got my ice creams. And the next thing I need to do is, that's it. I kind of close this down and nothing seems to happen. Okay, I don't need my swatches at the moment. And then you're kind of stuck in this limbo. Okay, up the top here, for some reason they decided to add it up here. Okay, it's a little bit weird. So I'm going to click done. And then it gets even weirder. You're like, where'd the pattern go? Okay, and it just means that these guys here were kind of like, I use them to get started, but I don't need them anymore. I'm going to delete them. What I need now is I'm going to grab the rectangle tool and I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can draw a rectangle around my whole page. Nice. And the fill color, what it said to you earlier on, it says, we've made a swatch for you in here. And it's hard to see. It's a tiny one. There it is, ice cream block. Click on him. Magic. Cool, huh? Okay, so that is how to create and use your pattern thing. Do I like it? Yeah, it's kind of cool. Next thing to know about it though is, say I want to resize, I want to make this box smaller. So I resize it, and what it does is it starts distorting it. Can you see? That's maybe not what I want. So I'm going to undo it. So if you didn't get it the right size and you want to kind of, I guess, don't want the pattern to change. You want to resize the box, but please pattern don't move. Okay, the easiest option, or there's a couple of ways. The easiest option is to go to, I've got this selected, go to Window, and go down to your Transform panel. In this panel, there's a little hamburger menu, click on him, and that's what it's defaulting to. It's transforming both the box and the pattern within it. What you can say is actually just transform the object only, please. Now when I drag it, look what happens. Can you see the pattern stays the same size, but this object kind of changes shape. Cool, so the problem with that though is that when you've stopped using it, that'll be on forever, and that'll be really weird later on. So you can go back and just turn it back to both when you're finished. Another thing to know is that, I'm going to close him down, is that at the moment he's part of my fill here, I can see him, but if I open up a new document, just leave everything default, open it up, you'll notice it's gone. If I draw a rectangle in here, gone. I've got this one, this is the default one from Illustrator, it's been there for ages. I'm sure somebody put a lot of effort into it, but it's, I don't know, it's dated now and this one gets worse. Okay, but I laugh at those ones, I shouldn't. So if you want to bring them through from one document to another, all you need to do is copy an object that has it in it and paste it in. It doesn't matter if you even use it. I'm going to delete it now and select this, and you'll notice that because I just pasted it in, it brought it in with it. It's now part of this document. All right, one last thing, okay, is I love doing this and then sending it to a site called Spoonflower. Okay, Spoonflower is, it's a way of taking your patterns and getting them printed at short runs. So you can send it off and get fabric made, wallpapers made, gift wrap made. It's super cool. So yeah, I'm not going to go through the whole process here, but let's have a look at how it works, their process, just so you get a basic understanding. Upload your design, choose what kind of fabric it's going on, and then they send it to you. They do really short runs, like by the meter, or what do you guys Americans use? By the foot. Yard, yeah, that's what you use. Okay, so you can upload it and you can try and sell on here as well, but it's just really nice to get stuff turned up. They have all sorts of different fabrics. Okay, I said I wouldn't go into it, I'm totally going into it. Products, they have lots of fabrics down here, okay, and all different prices, and it kind of depends on volume. So short runs, they also have like a swatch book. That's what I've got in front of me here. It's it just gives you like a tiny snippet of all the different fabrics, so you can get a feel for them before you order them. Okay, and yeah, it's great having your own stuff. Turn it into cushions, fabric coverings, wallpaper. Wallpaper I like, that's the one I do the most. But like presents for gift wrapping. Okay, that's it from Spoonflower. And that's it from Adobe Illustrator and the patterns. And what I'd like to do is, it's one of those things where I'd love to see your design. Okay, so I drew an ice cream. You could continue on the summer theme, okay, or maybe some hand-drawn things. I just want to see your pattern. So drop it in the projects or in the comments. I'd love to see what you've done. And yeah, that'll be the end of this one. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Hey there, in this video we're going to vectorize things, take images like this and do cool stuff like this with them. And then take cool images of this handsome man, it's me, okay, and do this kind of stencil thing with me. And then do this kind of like 3D anthographic kind of thing. I think I've said that wrong, but you get the idea, okay? We're going to turn images into graphics and vector and be able to edit them and color them all in Adobe Illustrator. Let's go and do it now. All right, so first up, we're going to bring in an image. Okay, so a JPEG or a PNG or a PSD from Photoshop, anything will work. Let's go to File and go to Place. We're going to start with our exercise files. We'll start with that bike that we had earlier. Okay, so we're going to bring it in. I'm going to drag it. It's quite a big image, so I'm going to make it this kind of size. And with it selected, with my black arrow, my live trace, and that's the magic thing, okay, is right there. Click on Live Trace. Now you can pick one of these. Let's just start with 3 colors. Okay, and give it a look. Your machine will churn away. The fans will come on and it'll stress out trying to do it. Give it a sec. I'm filling now. Come on. And nearly there. Done. Cool, huh? Okay, it goes through and kind of vectorizes it, give it that kind of, I don't know, hand-drawn vector look. Okay, you can go and adjust it and say, actually, I don't want 3 colors, I would like 6 colors, and it'll go through and do it. I'll speed this up. Okay, so it didn't take too long, but yeah, that's what it looks like in 6 colors. If you want a bit more control rather than the presets, click on this option here, and that'll open up this panel. And it gives you loads of control, like crazy amount, the exact amount of colors you want. You can go into advanced, like this is not enough. You can go to advanced and it gets super nerdy. Okay, so yeah, have a play around. It's kind of really up to you what it wants to look like. I'm going to show you a couple of other tricks by kind of doing some black and white stuff now. But one of the things we might want to do is actually, I'm going to go back to 3 colors. So might want to speed this up again. Now, let's say that I like this and I want to use it, maybe change some colors and move it. It's all kind of stuck together. It's kind of like you're halfway through an effect. Okay, you can still see it says live trace over here. When you're finished, you need to kind of hit expand. That kind of like says, I'm done with that messing around with that effect, and it's going to turn it into vectors that I can play around with now. All right, and what I want to do is I'm going to click off in the background, have nothing selected, and at the moment it's one big kind of giant group. And what I'd like to do is I can use my white arrow, click in the background, and just click on one little part. You can see I can drag it off. Okay, so I've turned it into like, yeah, you've lots of little shapes. Now, say I want to recolor maybe this color. Now I can hold shift and go crazy trying to select them all. So what you can do is you can just pick one color, go up to select, go to same. I'd like to select everything in this document that has the same fill color. It goes and selects just that color all the way through it. And I can go through now and pick something outrageous. Okay, so that's a nice way to kind of get in there with a bit more detail. So that is with it selected, there's an option down here called expand. So I like this, but I'm going to do something else. I'm going to just drag him to the side there with my black arrow. And we're going to draw the thing you saw at the beginning there, just the black outline plus the colory thing. So let's bring in an image. Okay, I'm using my shortcut, Command Shift P or Control Shift P. And there's one in there called, it's got my name. Where am I? I am Daniel Walter Scott. Can't even find myself. There I am there. So use the Daniel Walter Scott 1. Okay, so I'm going to bring it in. Again, it's another big image, so I'm just going to kind of drag it down. So we're going to run into problems with this one. So I want it to go to live trace. That's cool. I want black and white because I want this kind of like stencil look. The trouble with it is that there's a background and it's kind of interfering with everything. It looks kind of cool, right? I could go and to my options and drag. The main one is threshold. Okay, I can drag it lower and higher depending on what you want. You can see it kind of gets rid of the background, not quite, maybe this way. It doesn't, I know, because I played with it. So I'm gonna say, close that, and I'm actually going to delete it because what we're going to do is we're going to jump to Photoshop because we need to kind of tidy up the background. I'm going to show you a nice, quick, and dirty way to do that, and it works perfect for the stencil look. So in Photoshop, I've opened up that same image. Here it is. And I'm just going to do a really quick selection. Now yours is might not be grayscale yet, so you can do that. You might go to adjustments. There's a few ways in Photoshop, but adjustments, and this one here does a good job. Click on black and white, and you can play with these settings if you want to, or just leave it. Okay, now to continue on, you need to make sure the background's selected, and we need to name it. So double click the word background, and we're just going to call it Dan. Okay, anything, just call it anything. It needs to get that little lock off it. So next thing I want to do is delete the background, and I'm just going to use the quick selection tool. Okay, it's really awesome. And what I do is I click, hold, and drag. You see as I drag, it kind of expands out, and eventually it goes, hey, you mean all of this? And it's pretty clever. Okay, and I'm going to drag over here. I'm just going to drag around the edges. Okay, not over me. You see it's kind of automatically done a good enough selection. Okay, I'd love to go into loads of details. I'm just about to start a Photoshop course if you're keen on that. But for the moment, let's just do some basic stuff. I'm going to zoom in. There's a few things it's accidentally got. It's got my ears pretty good, the hair pretty good. It's missed this glasses bit. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key. Okay, and watch this. If I click over it and just drag around here, eventually it starts going, did you mean all this? Not too worried about my ear. Again, I'd like to spend a lot of time on this, but we're not going to. So where else is there any problems? Just looking down here in the checkered shirt. I'm looking for that. It's a little hard to see the kind of marching ants. So I'm going to hold Alt and just rub across the shirt here. Don't worry if it's not great. We're doing it for a stencil, remember. So where are you going? Down here, grab all this. If you get too much, say you come along here and you go too far out, you're like, oh no, then let go of all the keys and just paint it back in. Okay, and just work your way around. Checking basics. There's a little bit across here, so I'm holding down the Alt key on a PC or the Option key on a Mac. Okay, that'll do. So what I'd like to do now is just delete the background. I'm just going to hit delete on my keyboard. I know if you're a Photoshop man or lady, that's a bad thing to do, but it's going to work for what we want to do. I'm going to now save this thing. So I'm going to save it, and it's going to stay as a Photoshop file. I'm going to put it in my exercise files. I'm going to leave it in here for you in case you want to cheat and just use this one. It's called Daniel Walter Scott 3. Ready to go, and that's it. So we just kind of like tidied up the background and made it black and white. And let's go into Illustrator now, bring in that file, Daniel Walter Scott 3, drag it out. Okay, missing part of my head. It's okay, quick selection, remember, because Live Trace is going to be pretty forgiving. And I'm going to go to black and white logo now. And this is going to give me the effect that I was looking for. I'm going to go to my options, and in here I can play around with more or less. Kind of, what am I going to do? I have no idea. I'm just going to drag it around now and get it to a feeling, you know, something that I want. Something that looks like me. Kind of like it where there's like a bit of a pupil going on in there. It's kind of cool. What I might do is I might like two options on different sides of my face because there's a big shadow. I might copy and paste it and kind of combine the two. But for the moment, I like it. Remember, when you're finished, okay, we're going to click expand. Okay, and now it's kind of broken apart. Now that might be it. Okay, you might be happy with this kind of stencil look. Now, if you want to continue on with the kind of, I can never pronounce it right. I have to write it down in front of me. I can't even find. It's called anaglyphic. Probably said that wrong, but it's that kind of 3D look that's quite popular. I'm going to show you here in Google Images. So this kind of like, it's a way of, it's been used as a design style. That's why I'm using it, but it's kind of used for 3D. Remember these guys, 3D glasses? Okay, this kind of coloring here. It adds a bit of a 3D effect. And it looks quite cool just used for type, or in this case, the silhouette. To make this work, I'm going to select it with my black arrow. And what I want to do is ungroup it, because it's the main thing is this box around the outside that it comes with. Okay, so I want to select on it and delete it. It does nothing except get in the way. Okay, so now it's all individual parts again. So what I'd like to do is select it and group it back together. Okay, and yeah, so I'd like to do, I need three versions, the black one and the two colors. So I'm going to select it, copy it. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to use my white arrow. Okay, and remember, click in it like we did this one and say I'd like to, because what I want to do is fill it with a color. But if I select it all and say, actually, I want to fill you with that, say, magenta, it kind of does something a bit weird. Makes me wear sunglasses. You might like that. But what I want to do is with the white arrow, the direct selection tool, click off, click on one part and say select, same, fill color. And then this will work better. Okay, so I'm going to pick the cyan, sorry, the magenta, and it's probably meant to be a red. I'm happy with this magenta for the moment. You might go and find the official colors. Then I'm going to paste this back in. That's why I copied it. Okay, so I can go back to this one. And I want to move them up here, and I'm going to grab my white arrow, select them, select, same, fill color, and I'll use the red. Oh no, I'm up to the cyan part. Okay, cyan, cool. And then I'm going to paste another one, and I've got all my three options. What I might do is select them all, get them to align center for both of them, and then I'm just going to kind of move them a little bit side to side. Cool, so I'm going to move you that way, and I might grab the blue one and move them a little bit that way. That's the kind of thing I was going for. You saw at the beginning there. Maybe the steps are a little bit big. Okay, might zoom in there now, but you can totally finish this video because I'm just going to adjust it a little bit. I want to try and make it look cooler. Seemed cool in my head. Maybe I shouldn't use pictures of myself. Might be cooler with a cooler person. All right, now this is useful for lots of things. Also for things, maybe you've done a hand drawing and you want to turn it into vector. That's really good for that. So just take a photo of it or scan it and then vectorize it, use Live Trace. Another good thing is if you've got a logo and you've got some like primitive brand that you're doing work for and they've got this really bad logo, you can print it off, okay, and vectorize it and try and sharpen it up. It might be a really old pixelated thing that you want to try and tidy up finally. So now it is class project time. It's time to use yourself or significant other or your kid, okay, anything you like. I'd like you to see if you can make something in a similar sort of vein to this, some sort of stencil looking thing. You don't have to do the, where is it? Wrote it down, anaglyphic thing. Okay, you can do any sort of style you like. But I'd love to see it again, okay, in the projects or in the comments. Please show me what you did. I'd like to see it. I'll comment, give you tips, or just high fives. All right, that's it for Live Trace in Adobe Illustrator.